That everyone is fed up with the Biden administration and their policies. Our border is a very serious crisis. Crime across America is out of control. People are fed up with it. The education system got ruined over 2 years with COVID shutdowns. People are like, don't mess with our kids.
Why do you think that's true? Just because he's convicted. They don't believe anything now. Why would they believe that?
There are some that will change their vote.
That is exactly what these polls have shown. You know, I think when you are, look, it's any kind of relationship. When you're 100% committed, it's really hard to say you're wrong.
Yeah.
Yes,
you know, people go, why are you still with this guy? And you're just like, well, you know, I thought he would do this, or I liked what he did there. And it's hard for people to separate. And I did say, and I believe this, and there are a lot of other people, not just me, saying this. Liz Cheney said it recently, that there's a kind of cult-like dimension here.
Yeah.
So tonight I have to talk about my favorite people to dislike, and that would be the windbags of The View. And not only the windbags, but they had on the one and only Hillary Rodham Clinton. We all know Hillary. She got beat by Trump in 2016, and she got beat badly. And to this day, in 2023, she is still not over that defeat. And she's going to do everything in her power, which, quite frankly, we all know is her shady power, to make sure Donald Trump doesn't get reelected in 2024. Quite frankly, I think the dirty Dems have a plan. Because why is Hillary Clinton the dinosaur that no one cares about? Why is she doing all these interviews, going to colleges, going on the #1 Democrat show in the country, The View, and telling us how bad Donald Trump was, and trying to make us believe that Joe Biden is the man for the job, and that Joe Biden has done such wonderful things for our country? Our country right now is worse off than it has ever been that I can remember. We are on the verge of World War III. We are fighting 2 proxy wars, sending billions of dollars to 2 foreign countries, and Joe Biden could care less about the American people. The border is unsecure. Crime is out of control. People are dying from drug overdoses because Biden refuses to admit that the drug cartels are getting fentanyl over the border every single day. He's too concerned about Vlad Zelensky, and now he's concerned about Israel. Okay? We all know the Hamas attack on Israel was nothing more than a terrorist attack. And we've also seen the Squad, especially Rashida Tlaib, preaching Palestine because she's Palestinian. Yes, that's all well and good. And it's not the Palestinian people that are the bad ones. It's Hamas, who control Palestine, who control Gaza. And Rashida Tlaib wants us to believe that Israel is the cause of this fighting, when we all know it was a sneak terrorist attack that killed 1,400 people within 6 hours, and it continues to this day. As a matter of fact, Rashida Tlaib led an insurrection to the U.S. Capitol, but we don't hear anything about it. It was way worse than January 6th because they were in the Capitol. They were disrupting congressional sessions. They were on balconies. They were spraying graffiti. They were protesting and getting arrested, and we never heard anything else about it. Why? Because Rashida Tlaib is a radical Democrat, just like Hillary Clinton and just like Joe Biden. So let's watch a little more of that interview with Clinton, and then we'll talk about it a little more.
Yes,
you know, people go, why are you still with this guy? And you're just like, well, you know, I thought he would do this, or I liked what he did there. And it's hard for people to separate. And I did say, and I believe this, and there are a lot of other people, not just me, saying this. Liz Cheney said it recently, that there's a kind of cult-like dimension here.
Yeah.
You know, he's like a walking id. You know, in psychology, you've got the ego and the superego and the id. And so a lot of people go, oh, man, did you hear what he said? It's like watching a constant entertainment show. And so people get hooked into that, and they don't want to give it up because it is, you know, kind of entertaining and interesting.
To watch the chaos.
Yeah.
Well, I think that your loss to Trump in 2016 will go down in history as one of the most pivotal times in our country, one of the most pivotal moments in our country. And it's still reeling from, you know, Trump's policies, I think, and the deep divisions that he sowed in this country. What, in your view, would happen if he were to be reelected?
Oh, I can't even think that, because I think it would be the end of our country as we know it. And I don't say that lightly. You know, I hated losing, and I especially hated losing to him because I had seen so many warning signals during the campaign. But I immediately said, look, we have to give him a chance. We've got to support, you know, the president we have. And I meant it. And I tried really hard. And then literally from his inauguration on, it was nothing but, you know, accusing people of things, making up facts, denying the size of the crowd at his own inauguration. And everything that I worried about, I saw unfolding. And so I think that he'd be even worse now because he was somewhat restrained, believe it or not, in the first term by people who he hired because he thought they would go along with him, and they stood up to him. And so now he is going to, if he were ever near the Oval Office again, find people who have no principles, no conscience, who are totally tied, you know, to his fortunes, literally, and therefore would do whatever he said. And so the wreckage is almost unimaginable. You know, when I was Secretary of State, I used to talk about one and done. And what I meant by that is that people would get legitimately elected, and then they would try to do away with elections and do away with opposition and do away with a free press. And you could see it in countries where, well, Hitler was duly elected.
That's right.
Right? And so all of a sudden, somebody with those tendencies, those dictatorial, authoritarian tendencies, would be like, oh, okay, we're going to shut this down. We're going to throw these people in jail. And they didn't usually telegraph that. Trump is telling us what he intends to do.
We need to listen to
Take him at his word.
They can't believe why people are still supporting Trump today. You know, with all the indictments, he's on trial right now in New York for that civil fraud case, which, quite frankly, in my opinion, it's nothing more than a fraud. It's a non-jury case with a Democratic judge and a Democratic attorney general. What they're trying to do is keep Trump off the ballot, and so far it's not working, because every time they show a clip from the trial or show him speak or his attorneys, his poll numbers go up, okay? And Sonny Hostin is one of the most pathetic, ass-kissing Democrats I have ever seen in all of my years on this planet, okay? The loss to Donald Trump will go down in history. Okay, Hillary lost because people are sick and tired of the Democratic policies. And then they talk about how bad Trump's policies were. They're worried about what Trump's going to do if he gets reelected. Yes, they're worried because he's come right out and said it. If he wins back the White House, his #1 priority is to go after all of these dirty Democrats. Hillary Clinton, Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, and the list goes on and on. They are running scared because they know he is going to go after them, and he's going to do everything in his power to put them in prison like they're trying to do to him. These Democrats do not care that our borders open. They do not care that our children are being indoctrinated in schools. They do not care that mass shootings are happening all over the country by mentally ill people. They'll continue to blame the firearm. They don't care about that. Quite frankly, when there's a mass shooting, you never really hear much about the shooter. No, they try to keep the shooter's background quiet. And all they talk about is the AR-15, because like I've said in the past, that gun got up from wherever it was in a home and went out on its own and committed mass murder. That's what the Democrats want you to believe. The Democrats are running scared. And I know there was an election last night, and yesterday, and Democrats won and blah, blah, blah. That means nothing. It's making the Democrats feel a little more like, hey, we got a chance at 24, but it means nothing. Because in the end, it's people backing a candidate or a party that they want and they know is going to turn this country around. Like Marjorie Taylor Greene said in the beginning, people are fed up with the bad schooling, the high crime, the wars, open borders. You name it, it's happening. This administration and all the powers in it care about certain groups of people. They pretend that we're all white supremacists. Joe Biden loves throwing the white supremacist thing out every chance he gets. Joe Biden was one of the biggest racists when he was in the Senate. And I've also said this before. Go do some research and watch Joe Biden on the Senate floor using the N-word like it was in his everyday vocabulary. Okay? They care about the alphabet people because they're getting votes from them. They don't believe that there's more than two genders. They're going along with it to appease these people so they get the votes. Why do you think the Democrats don't care about our wide open borders? And why do you think they don't want voter ID? Because all of the people coming into this country are votes for the Democratic Party. And again, that's just my opinion, but just look what they're trying to do. They want to have men compete in women's sports. Why? Because they'll get votes. Everything that the Democrats do today is to push for votes to either keep Biden in office, which I don't believe he'll make it to the finish line, or try to push Kamala Harris through, which quite frankly, she's dumber than Joe Biden is. We all know Gavin Newsom's on a whirlwind tour. I'm waiting to see his name dropped in. And Hillary Clinton. We go back to Hillary Clinton. Why is she going around and doing all these interviews? Because she's still bitter. She has a bad taste in her mouth that she got beat by Donald Trump because the people are sick of her filthy politics, just like her husband. So don't be surprised when the time comes if you see everyone drop out and all of a sudden Hillary Rodham Clinton is going to run for president. And it's people like those windbags on The View will push their propaganda as far as they can to make sure we don't have a democracy. The Democrats don't care. They supported BLM. They supported the riots, the millions of dollars they raised, when they know now it was all a fraud. The Democrats insisted that the Hunter Biden laptop was Russian disinformation when we know now it was legitimate. People need to open their eyes. I don't care if you're 18 or 80. You need to see what's going on in this country. And with Hillary Clinton pushing her propaganda makes it even worse. She knows Joe Biden is no good. She knows he's making no decisions. Maybe she knows who's making the decisions. Is it Barack Obama? Is it Nancy Pelosi or Schumer? Or is it Hillary Clinton? We don't know. It's certainly not Joe Biden, and forget Kamala Harris because she can't decide what she wants to have for dinner on every given night. So what do? We have to wait and see what happens to Trump. And I've always said this, I was never a big Trump fan or a big Trump supporter. But what Trump did in 4 years in this country was secure borders, thousands upon thousands of jobs. People were making good money. They had money in their pocket. They could afford gas. They could afford groceries. There were no wars. They weren't rescuing other countries. Joe Biden is all about that. He wants to pay you to stay home. He wants to shut down things like Hillary said. They want to, Donald Trump will go, I can shut down this and get people to listen to him. You do this, you do that. Shut down things. Isn't that what Joe Biden did? Didn't he shut down the country during COVID? Wasn't he behind thousands of small businesses going under because they couldn't afford to stay open? And then they gave the COVID relief money. How much of that money was stolen? And now they're trying to recoup it, and they're going after people for their PPP loans. This party is not the Democratic Party of years ago. I grew up in a Democrat family. My grandfather today is probably rolling around in his grave seeing what these Democrats are doing. And if he was still here today, I can almost guarantee you that he would not support the Democrats, and he would swing his vote to a red vote. That's how bad it is. And he was a staunch Democrat through and through. And he would not be today. This party's a disgrace. Our country's in trouble. And Hillary Rodham Clinton is up to something. I just don't exactly know what it is. Because quite frankly, who gives two shits about Hillary Rodham Clinton other than the dirty, sneaky Democrats who know she's got the Clinton machine behind her and all the money that could possibly put her in the White House in 2024. So stay tuned, because this is not going to go away. It's only going to get better. And that's all I got to say. So thanks for tuning in. If you haven't liked this video, I appreciate you giving it a like. Subscribe to the channel if you would. Share this video with someone. I'd also appreciate that. Hope everybody's healthy and safe. I'll see you soon. Have a great night.